All righty. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I hope you've had a awesome week. Hope you had a good family day, Thursday and Friday. And I hope it's continuing if you still have family in town or if you're still at home. But Saturday morning, so we'll get started and see if we have questions. I think on the last time we met, we fielded questions. We've been continuously talking about fear, talking about forgiveness, and in the climate that we're in right now, the everything seems to be chaotic. You turn on the television, and that's why it's important that we stay focused on who we are. And we had those lessons, those conversations that we could be candid and talk about how we feel about things, the state of the world, the state of the way people treat each other these days, and our role and what we see and what we do about things. So we talked about all those things. I think one of the last things we talked about Monday night is when we looked at that phrase where wisdom says, "The poor you will have with you always." And we looked at that is not meaning what we have been taught that it means. Uh, Poor is talking about that longing that is in you for truth when you recognize that you have a need, that there is something that is not there. There is a spiritual nourishment, if you will, that is not there present in what you have been receiving, and you long for it, you search for it, and you submit yourself to. So we looked at that and we saw the word blessed and the word land. You are blessed because God, the Creator, has given you land to possess. So as your consciousness changes, you move from being poor to being blessed, meaning that you start to see how to center yourself and start to see how to bring your own community together. And that is what helps bring the community of others together, because ultimately we see that we are all one. We are all one. So that's where we were the last time we spoke. Uh, any thoughts or questions on that or anything else that you may have? Anyone?
Um, Good morning. This is Audrey.
Morning, Audrey.
I've been thinking about forgiveness, and I feel like that's such an important thing because
Mhm.
um, not only not only do you limit your own spiritual growth, but you limit everything in terms of your moving forward. Um, it's like you're being caught in a time warp or a time loop that just keeps you standing still in terms of your spiritual growth.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's really important that we understand it's more than just, you know, releasing the other person. It's releasing yourself too. And I
Yeah.
know we've talked about that before, but um, I've just been thinking about that um, since we had this new revelation of it. Anyway, that's just my comment.
Thank you. And I couldn't agree more. I'll invite you to say something else though, and hopefully someone else can see the wisdom in this and let's bring this a little out a little further. You talked about the need and for self-forgiveness, some of the things that we struggle with as well. Go into that a little bit more, if you will. Why is that so important as you just pointed out, forgiving others? What about self-forgiveness? And what do we need to forgive ourselves for?
Well, part of it is that, like you mentioned, we are one.
Yeah,
So forgiving ourselves is the other part of forgiveness. If we say we forgive the other person, but then we live a life of unknowing and then don't forgive ourselves, it's almost the same as if it's the same as trapping yourself in that time loop. And a lot of times when you can't forgive yourself for whatever, something you've done or something you've felt or whatever, then you have kind of a harsher opinion of other people who do the same thing or who might have done something similar or whatever. So
yeah,
it kind of keeps your spiritual consciousness is in a trap. You're ensnared, you're
yeah,
entangled.
very much so.
Anyway, so there are two sides of it. You forgive others, but you also need to forgive yourself, because there are two sides, in terms of the fact that we are in unity, we're one with other people.
Yeah,
So we have to kind of forgive ourselves too to move forward.
thank you. And again, pointing out where we are, the chaotic state that the country is in and the world is in, for that matter. Uh, Someone has to keep this flow of energy moving. Someone has to be the sense of light, enlightenment. Someone has to always seek truth and not allow fear or these feelings of feelings that these things are larger than life and things that we can't cope with. There's nothing we can't cope with. And so I think we keep talking about this because it is needed, not only with our group, but within others across the land that are feeling hopelessness. So thank you, Audrey. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Sorry, I just thought of something else too.
Okay.
You know how people talk about imposter syndrome? Like this, they feel like they're not really worthy of whatever. Um, they feel like they're imposters in terms of either their work or whatever position they hold, or even in positions of any kind of authority. Inside their own heads, sometimes they feel like they're not worthy of that position or whatever.
Yeah.
So that feeling of unworthiness is sometimes called imposter syndrome. But we need to get past that too, because we are all worthy.
Mhm.
When in whatever position we're in, whatever we're doing, we are all worthy, and we all have opportunities to find a spiritual way forward. We
Mhm.
all have those opportunities. Sometimes some people can't see them, and even if you can't see them at that particular point in time, there will be other opportunities. There's always an opportunity. So that imposter syndrome thing is misplaced. And I think it's a result of the kind of society we have, where we have all these elite people who are making billions of dollars, and I guess we talked about this before, like how do they do that, and how come I can't do that? Um, but we know that their focus is in a different place. But anyway, we are all worthy. No matter who we are, what we do, we're all worthy in terms of spiritual growth.
That brings up an interesting, yeah, point to me. How much are we able to see the value in what we do if we don't understand that we are worthy to be here? What is the value? Because what you've mentioned is the what the world sees or what the world does shows instant gratification, at least most of the time. It's something that you can measure, something you can see, whether it's your bank account changing or your status in life changing, or those things are reflective even in how other people treat you. So what we're doing, you don't always see the reward in that way. You don't always well, you don't see anything that's going to put you in the limelight with man. But this is an internal thing. This is a spiritual thing, and it's not measured in those same ways. So anybody want to further comment or elaborate on what Audrey has said?
Good morning, this is Barbara. I have a follow-up comment, and I have two questions, I think.
Okay.
My follow-up comment is in agreement with what Audrey says. Forgiveness ties you to the past. When we've said that eternity is living in the now. So there's no way we can live in the now when we are shackled. And most of the time all of the time we shackle ourselves with our consciousness. We shackle ourselves to the past. And so when we can't let go of the past, then we have to ask our question, how are we going to go forward and live in the now? Do what's pertinent for humankind now and for ourselves now. When we shackle ourselves to the past emotions or our ego that won't let go of something someone said or did, and we refuse to forgive ourselves and others, it entraps our thoughts. It as Audrey says, it keeps us in a time warp, and we end up doing those Groundhog Day things. Things just keep repeating themselves because we can't get out of that, like the hamster on the wheel, turning around and around and around. So we can't be unforgiving and live in the now. We can't do both at the same time. So my questions are, the chicken or the egg syndrome. Do we forgive ourselves before we give others? Or do we forgive others before we give ourselves? What comes first, or is there first? And then my second question is, what do we have to forgive ourselves of? Thanks.
Barbara, I think the forgiveness part, if we don't forgive ourselves, we can't forgive others, because we are still living in the past with whatever that we are carrying that we have not forgiven ourselves for. we can give lip service to forgiveness to others, but is it real if we're still living in the past, if we're still anchored to those things that we have not forgiven ourselves for? One of the things that Audrey said struck a note. Audrey and Ron, when you're talking about seeking happiness or seeking to be accepted based on those things that you see. If our worthiness is based upon a bank account, a house, clothes, whatever, anything in this material world, if our worthiness is based upon that, then what you have actually done is placed a value on you. So if your value of, if you think that you're not worthy because you don't have $1 million, when you get $1 million, you're still not going to feel worthy because you don't have $2 million. So there is no sense of worth to be found in the material world. It can only be found within, meaning in the spiritual. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Barbara, it was the second part to your question, and then I want to say something because I got to leave shortly. Barbara Jean.
Sir, the second part was, I think you sort of got to it. I asked, what do we have to forgive ourselves of? And
Okay.
you talked about, when we tie ourselves to things material, or we tie ourselves to things other people say about us, when we tie ourselves to whatever is external and not listen to the inner voice of who we know we are. That's part of it too.
Thank you. I have got messages this week from people who are in fear. Actually, they say that they are concerned, but I know it's fear. And the reason I know so is because their quote unquote concern is connected to what is called Project 25. Since the Supreme Court ruling, people are in a tizzy about what is to come. They're uncertain. And I know that we have talked about this several different times in the abstract, but now it is more personal to more people. And from the time that I met the first message until now, I have been deeply concerned about the fear that's being exhibited in this society. Animals feed on your fear. And those who seek to control you are animals, and they feed on your fear. What is the first thing that Europeans say about us? They call us animals. That's projection. They themselves who seek to control, manipulate, destroy are animals. Matter of fact, they're worse than animals. Because animals kill in order to survive. Those who seek to control through fear and destruction do it for greed. So what's going on? This thing, Project 25, is a list of policy changes and a list of things that Donald Trump and his crew intends to do if he is indeed elected. And one of the most disturbing well, a couple of the things about that is disturbing is the idea of concentration camps for people of color, more specifically Hispanics, and the a repeat of Wetback Project, where Hispanics were put on buses and driven out of this country into deserts and left to live or die based on how they were able, whether or not they were able to survive on their own. I am saying to you from two spaces. One is political and the other is spiritual. Let's look at the spiritual as the physical aspects of it first, the political aspects of it first. Politically, when we look at this, it appears as though the energy of Donald Trump and his cohorts are going to prevail. And this is because of the newfound energy that they have based upon the Supreme Court telling him he can do anything he wants to do and making it extremely difficult to hold him accountable. Please understand that this is simply a reversion. This is a reversion to what was before the Dred Scott decision. The only thing the Supreme Court said is this: the president can do anything to anyone he chooses who is against him, meaning any people of color who he deems to be his enemy or anybody who protests against him. That is exactly what happened during the period of enslavement and thereafter. The president of the country had the authority to enslave or to have anyone arrested who he deemed to be an escaped slave or who he deemed to be his enemy. And when there were protests against what was happening in this country, it ended in a civil war. So that same energy is what's seemed to be prevailing right now. In order for a wound to be healed, the pulse must be drained from it. And in order for the pulse to be drained from it, the scab has to be removed. The scab has been removed from the underbelly of this country for the express purpose of draining the pulse. And what we are experiencing in Project 25 is the drainage of pulse. And that pulse that's draining will bring about healing so we can become a nation as opposed to a country. And my objective is to allay your fears. If you are afraid that Biden is not going to win, keep in mind that it doesn't matter. The question is whether we are going to flow on this river and make land before we get to the waterfall. Either way, we are going to make land. If we go over the waterfall, that is Trump, we will still survive. If we make land before we go over the waterfall, that is Biden, and we still survive. However, I was shown something during the course of my introspection about what's coming. There's the energy, the foundation that brought Obama to power is existing right now. What brought that power, that energy into play was when Biden messed up in the debate. The universe knew that was going to happen before it happened. And now I, along with many, have said that it would have to be a Gavin Newsom in order to defeat Trump. Nobody else in the Democrat Party could do that. That's the politics. I'm saying that Kamala Harris is positioned the same way Obama was positioned. The only reason that Obama was elected was because the economy was in shambles. The country was about to default on all of its loans. The country was it was headed to a deeper depression than it was in the 30s. That's why Obama got elected. They were going to lay every bit of it on his shoulders if the country had defaulted. However, the universe had something different in mind. And as we all experienced, Obama pulled the country out of the economic straits that it was in, and also gave a foundation for medical care for everyone. Here we are again at a place where the country is in the dire straits of a return to the political foundation that it was founded on. And that is a foundation of racism, a foundation of misogyny, a foundation of hatred. And with this time, it is far worse than what it was in the beginning. In that, in the beginning, we knew we were not free. We were physically enslaved. Today, we think we are free. So there are those who are ignorant enough to be pushing for Trump to be elected because they think they're free. Because of where we are with the abortion issue, because of where we are with the issue of quote unquote democracy, and I put that in air quotes, this is setting the stage for a Kamala Harris. Why do I say that? Under different circumstances, she would never even be considered. If they remove Biden from the top of the ticket, then they are going to have to place her at the top of the ticket. And the reason they're going to have to place her at the top of the ticket, if they don't, they're going to lose African females, and they're going to lose young people, period. And as a result of that, they're going to lose the election. This is, and again, I'm talking about the political aspects of it. If they remove her, then Donald Trump will win. There's no question about it. Now, the spiritual aspects of it. The spiritual aspects of it is this. My question to you is for you to ask yourself, do you truly believe that there is a creator? Do you believe that there's a God? Do you believe that the one who created everything that is has your best interest at heart? Do you believe that the creator intends for a repeat of what happened at the inception of this country? I say the creator will not allow that to happen. And the reason it would not happen is because there has never been a group of people in this earth who has sought to find themselves, not since the invasion of Kemet. Never has there been a group of people who have sought to understand what Alkebulan, what Africa is. Alkebulan, as long as the original name of Africa is Alkebulan, and as long as it was hidden from us, we had no hope other than saying that we were Africans and hoping that the government go change. Now that we understand that Alkebulan means the Garden of Eden, or the Garden of mankind, the origin of mankind. It is not a landmass, it is a spiritual essence. It is spiritual energy. And the spiritual energy that brought every human into this earth had its inception on this landmass called Africa now, however, known as Alkebulan, the Garden of Eden. It is not East Africa, it's not West Africa, it's the whole continent that houses this energy. And never in history has anyone since the invasion of Kemet come together to espouse what we are seeing this day. And speaking from this spiritual perspective, it matters not whether we go over the waterfall or whether we make land before the waterfall. The Creator has our best interest at heart. The universe will not allow anything of this nature to happen. You can write all the programs you want, whether it be Project 25 or Biden agenda. It does not matter. Because the only thing that matters are the plans that the Creator has for those who have cast their lot with it. And what I mean by that is this: it does not take everyone in this earth to understand the power and to have the experience of spiritual truth. It only takes a handful. It only takes one, really, to carry the burden for humanity. That burden we are now carrying. And we have said, not on our watch. And I say again, we will not suffer the consequences of a Project 25, not on our watch. It is not going to happen. It does not matter who sits in that White House. It doesn't matter. What matters is we hold on to what we believe. What matters is we trust our Creator. If you trust the Creator, then you understand you have not been given a spirit of fear, but one of sober mind is one of courage. You have access to wisdom. The wisdom that you have access to supersedes any of the ignorance that's being put forth now by Biden as well as Trump. You are the source through which the Creator is working in order to bring humanity to a place of balance. And what I mean by that is this: humanity cannot be balanced until you realize that you are the balance for humanity. And if you are afraid of what is to come, you cannot be balanced, because balance doesn't know fear. It may come to you, but it doesn't live with you. You can, and if you are afraid because of what you are hearing on the TV or what you are reading, stop watching the news, stop reading it. If you continue to do that, then what you are doing is seeking to live a life of fear. When you embrace the true nature of your essence, when you embrace the reality of the purpose for you being in this earth, and that purpose is to be the balance for humanity. When you truly embrace that, it doesn't matter. People like Trump, people like Biden become dwarfs. They become subject to your desires, and your desires must be the desire for humanity to survive as a unity, as opposed to surviving in separate places, meaning Democrat, Republican, white and black and Asian, and etc. We have this golden opportunity to restore righteousness to this earth based upon the truth of wisdom itself. It is incumbent upon every one of us to dispense with the political antics of what's taking place now and hold on to the spiritual power that we are in this earth. This earth is, the earth consciousness is predicated on our desires, because the Creator said that we are to dominate. And if we are to dominate, it's on our desires. And our desires must be one with those of the Creator. As above, so is below. And I'm saying to you today, we are not waiting for as above, so is below to come into effect. It is already in effect, because we are the balance and the manifestation of what is. We will be shown with our eyes, but we must see it with our eye first. So I don't want any of you to walk around in fear. I don't want any of you to listen to what comes across the pulpits, what comes from the mouths of the talking heads. I don't want any of you to lean in that direction. Why? Because none of them know what they're talking about. The most dangerous place for you to get your information is across the pulpit, because the pulpit is actually adding credence to what the talking heads are saying. The pulpit is actually increasing the fear in the hearts of humanity, because the pulpit is talking about what Trump is going to do as opposed to what Biden is going to do. I am saying to you that there is nothing beyond the powers of our Creator, that whatever it takes, if it takes a Kamala Harris to be elected, so be it. It doesn't matter. The election is over. The determination has already been made. You do what you are supposed to do and leave the rest to the universe. Keep this in mind. If we are living in the now, and we are, then everything has already taken place. It has not been manifested in the material world. And let me remind you that our desires was for exposure. And everything has been exposed as we had desired to be. The last thing that was exposed was the Supreme Court. We already knew what their beliefs were. Now they have shown everyone how they think and what they believe in. They have shown everyone that they are in league with this Project 25. So the executive branch has been exposed, Congress has been exposed, the judicial branch has been exposed. So everything that governs this country has been exposed. Even on the level of federal judiciaries around the country, the federal districts around the country has been exposed. When you look at what's happening in Florida with what is his name, the judge in Florida that has Trump's case, who is giving him all the breaks in the world. All of these things have been exposed. They have been exposed because they have been festering beneath the surface. Now that they are exposed, they have been exposed to the light. And when a wound is exposed to the light of the sun, it heals it. It kills all of the bacteria. It kills everything in it that is adverse to survival. So all of these things have been brought to the light. So now it's time for everything that is adverse to balance to be destroyed. So hold on to this. And every single time that you have a tinge of fear within you, you will hear these words coming from my voice. You will hear these words saying to you, be not afraid, because you are the power of the universe. You have no reason to fear anything, because those who you are afraid of are toothless tigers. They have no power whatsoever. They have the ability to kill the body, but have no ability to kill the soul. The righteousness of the soul, the righteousness of being aware of who you are, is the prevailing force in this earth realm. Hold on to that. And I promise you, regardless of what takes place, you will see that we will survive in a manner better than any manner that we've survived in the past, because every single time that the deck has been stacked against us, we have always won. And now it is time for us to bring humanity to a place of winning. Only the African can do that. Only the African can do that. If you continue to deny being African, then you can continue to deny the power that you were birthed with. And when you deny the power with which you were birthed, then you have no power whatsoever. You begin to submit to the power of those who seek to enslave you physically, enslave you psychologically, enslave you economically, enslave you socially. I'm done. Thank you. If there are any questions, please ask them, because momentarily I'm going to have to leave. I have a flight to catch.
I have one question, Pastor. When you say that, Jesus, he spoke on that when everybody was telling who we pay tax, who we pay taxes to, and he was telling he went to the ocean or whatever and got that corn out of that fish mouth, and he told them who causes this? And they said, Caesar. And then he said, give unto Caesar Caesar, and give unto God is God. So he's telling you now, trust God.
Okay, this, I know the scripture you're talking about, and he was talking about paying taxes. I'm not talking about at this moment. I'm not talking about the tax. I'm not talking about that particular scripture. What I am talking about is this. And some of you are going to be very uncomfortable with this, but it's the truth, and the truth usually makes you uncomfortable. Our reliance to be delivered from what we are facing now is not Jesus. What has kept us in bondage is the Christianity that has been given to us. What's kept us in bondage is Jesus, a belief in someone who never existed. Trying to hold on to something that has never been in our best interest. We were given a belief in Jesus simply because Jesus was presented to us as a European. And as long as you are submissive to Jesus, subliminally, subconsciously, you are being submissive to Europeans. Because when you see Europeans, you see your God. Because you see your God in Jesus. And when you see your God in Jesus, that is when you become vulnerable to all of the antics of those who seek to deny your humanity, to deny the spiritual being that you are. The reason for Christianity being pushed on enslaved people was for the express purpose of them separating themselves from their spiritual essence. And it worked for a while, but now it works no more. And there are those of you, I know feel uncomfortable. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm trying to free you. And if you have left, if anyone has left because of what I am saying about Jesus, my desire is for the message to get to them that I am not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to free you because you're already enslaved. You are enslaved by a doctrine that doesn't exist and never has. Religion had its origin in the mind of Caucasians, the mind of the European, and it was actually organized for the European by an African. And as a result of that, here we are now trying to hold on to a Jesus who doesn't exist, and at the same time trying to free ourselves from policies and from religions that have us in bondage. We cannot expect the very thing that enslaved us to free us. We have to find the truth about what is in order for us to be free from what is existing to this day. And our freedom comes from us recognizing who we are. Our freedom does not come from us trying to be like white people. We're not trying to fit into a society that was never designed for us. We're not trying to fit into a society that we built and they claimed. We are not trying to fit in that at all. In order to fit into the American society, you have to accept that you are a party to the genocide that's taking place in Gaza and has taken place worldwide. In order for you to embrace this society, you are saying that you are in league with all of those who enslaved us and continue to enslave us to this day. So I'm not talking about taxes. I'm talking about the political climate that we currently live in and the climate that we have created for humanity to live in. And that is a climate of freedom, a climate of freedom based upon the spiritual essence with which we were brought into this earth and the purpose for which we were brought into this earth. And that is to bring mankind to the place of balance. Any questions or comments about that?
I have a question. I want to back up to something you said. You said a few minutes ago, do what you are supposed to do and leave the rest to the universe. I want you to elaborate on that for a minute, because I think a lot of times our fear comes from we have been taught to see solutions. We've been taught to see what things are, how things are supposed to fall out and what they look like. And this is not one of those situations where you can say, okay, I want A, I want B, I want C, I want my life to be this when this thing is over. This isn't like that. This is totally spiritual. So talk about that, because
I'll have but a couple of minutes, Ron, so I'm gonna have to,
okay,
okay.
okay,
When I say do what you're supposed to do, I'm not telling you that what you do is going to work out the way you want it to. It's not supposed to. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to vote. That's what you're supposed to do. And the rest of it is in the hands of the universe. That's what you're supposed to do. That's it. Now, there are a large number of people who look like us who's saying that they're going to support Donald Trump, which means that they are enslavers also, which means that they are racist to themselves, which means that they hate themselves and don't even realize, which means that they do not care what happens to anyone in this earth except themselves, because they think that they're going to benefit from Donald Trump, especially African males who say that the economy was better for us under Trump. So it's all about money, money that they are never going to see. The reason you are in an economic strait now is because of what Donald Trump did for wealthy people when he was in office. So if you're ignorant enough to speak for Donald Trump, please do not express your ignorance on this call. Keep it to yourself. And I'm very adamant about that, because we have had enough people who look like us who espouse those things that are against us. We don't need that now. There are too many of our people who are afraid of what's coming, and we don't need your ignorance to add to that. Thank you.
And
This
thank
is
you,
one
Pastor.
of the, you're welcome. This is one of the times that I'm saying to you, don't say it if you're supporting that ticket. Why? Because when people are afraid, they don't need your ignorance. From other than this, you can say anything you want to. But at this point, our people are on edge. And I will not allow anyone to add to that. And there are those who may not like what I'm saying, but I have been given the opportunity, the privilege to lead, to guide, to shepherd. And I will not allow any wolf to come in to threaten the sheep. Questions, comment, got 5 minutes. 5 minutes and I gotta go. Questions or comments? Thank
I
you.
got a comment. I'm glad that what you're bringing out is opening our soul and our minds up, because I never looked at it like that. You never heard it like that. So
Thank you,
I thank
sir.
you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. Is there anyone else before I go? Then answer this, if you will. Am I making sense to you? Is this resonating with you?
yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, you guys continue. And once I get in the car, I'll check and see if you're still on, okay?
Okay.
All right, have a great one. But tomorrow we meet with California.
Okay. Any questions, y'all, about anything? Well, we don't have to stay on the air. I mean, does this has anyone felt a little more at ease, a little more comfort from what Pastor had to say?
So what Pastor's trying to say, I'm feeling that the truth is being attacked more.
Yeah, the truth is being attacked, Charles. The truth is being attacked.
And people don't know that. Their mind is believing every wind that blows.
Ron, this is Barbara, in response to after Charles's comment, in response to your question, any other questions,
Uh-huh.
I would suggest that, yeah, what's resonating with me is that have no fear. There is no fear in love. Have no fear. What Pastor has just said, I think, needs to be what we close with and meditate on instead of opening something new. Because that's
Yes.
a biggie. If people are feeling that, then that's what we need to be resonating with right now and meditating on right now. And I answer your question, I would like not to have another topic opened while we meditate on this.
Okay, excellent suggestion. So, I'm sorry, Audrey, did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Barb just said. Going back to what I said in the beginning, we just need to hold on to the fact that we are worthy to do this.
Yes,
We are.
yes,
We've been set in this position and we're worthy to do it.
thank
That's
you.
all.
Amen.
Yeah, I celebrate this day, beautiful day. A lot has been said, a lot of things been said in a short period of time. It's a great place to stop and as Barb said, to meditate on what has been said. Okay, and if you have any questions or comments, please bring them tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.